Doug Lamarice and Bill Landis, and if we did the Wayne's World thing, I like making 25-year-old references. If we did, you were Garth in a Halloween video we did one time. In a world where we were talking about football and interviewing football players and watching Ohio State's first football practice on Friday, what would we have been talking about, Bill Landis, if things were not happening the way they're happening right now? What would you be wondering about most if you had been able to watch practice number one?
We talked about it on our podcast, maybe it was last week or earlier this week.
I think it was a year ago.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, about like the most interesting position battles. And I think that it's probably at this point still linebacker, but I'm very interested in this offensive line. And like I had a story ready to write that I was going to write today on Friday, the first day of camp, that I didn't under these circumstances. But I would have been watching the offensive line heavily, seeing what they're doing with Brady Taylor and Josh Myers at center, whether or not anyone else gets a sniff there, because I thought that was an interesting point of conversation with Urban Meyer at Big Ten Media Days, is could Michael Jordan or one of these other guards where they have a lot of depth potentially play center in the search for the best 5 offensive linemen? I think it's a very interesting question going into this camp. So I would have been watching those guys closely.
I would have been looking for how many guys in the 2017 recruiting class looked like they were running with the ones and the twos. I think this is a very interesting roster. There's not a ton of seniors on here. We know there are some gigantic recruiting classes that are ready to make a move. But for sure, like we're at corner, are Kendall Sheffield and Damon Arnett definitely the 2 guys running with at the ones, and Jeffrey Okudah with the twos, or where is he? Is there a class of 17 guy who's starting at the safety spot that's up for grabs? Where's Baron Browning? How's he working in? They seemed at times like to make Chase Young work with the twos a little bit, and like Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bosa were starting defensive ends. But we know it's going to be Chase Young. Is Chase Young running with the ones at defensive end? I'm very curious about that 2017 class, which I also have a story to write about that I've been saving for months, that I'll write eventually when things get a little more normal here. But I'm wondering how much of an impact they'll make, both in being ready and how much the coaches will decide to play some of these young guys, because some of them are blocked by older guys.
Yeah, and obviously you want to watch Dwayne Haskins a little bit too. And it's not – we've seen him in a practice setting in the spring. That was when he was competing with Joe Burrow and Tate Martell. And, like, as much as I don't think it's a real conversation to talk about Tate Martell's ability to win the job, I would just wanted to see how Dwayne Haskins carries himself in his first practice as Ohio State's quarterback. I think that's important, and we didn't get the chance to see it.
That would have been very interesting because, again, is there a quarterback competition right now with Dwayne Haskins and Tate Martell?
No.
He's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lamarice. God, almost made it through with saying all the right words. We're going to keep writing about the Urban Meyer situation, and eventually we'll start writing and talking more about this football team because there is a football season coming. There's just some other stuff happening right now. We'll talk to you guys later at cleveland.com.